you're wondering, why are the end credits rolling? Well, these last 2 days I took off, I went back to my original save and did a bunch of subquests that I wanted to do before ending A. And I literally just, like, bolted back to the end, grabbed the fast kill trophies for both Devla and Popola fights and Shadow Lord fight. I got the boar the first time, I think. Pretty sure I didn't. But yeah, I actually have to wait for this to stop moving so I can play the game. Needless to say, I was cutting it kind of close. Yep, so we're gonna be, well, we're gonna be loading our cleared save data. Kind of like we did with, well, technically the second game, but the first one we played. Because there's more. There's, I think the game specifically called it Kinase Perspective. I don't think you actually play as her. It's not like Route A, Route B, Route C type thing. I think you just hear more dialogue. But, there go the credits. Assume the... Sorry. Thought the microphone position had been assumed. Nope. We're good now. So we're gonna save over our slot 1. Cool. So, let's get started for real now. So I don't remember whereabouts we start. I did look it up, but I don't know exactly where we start. Oh.
Whenever I interacted with Kaine, I was reminded about something from my past. Maybe my mind has been confusing her with my sister this whole time. Anyway...
Shablagoo! Bonus points if you get that reference. Yeah, so... I was right. This time around, we start... We skip the fluff. We skip Emil transforming. What is this? Kaine's dreams. Discrimination. Sound of rain fill. Oh, no, not again. No, not the text. Drizzle, thin wisp smoke streamed from huts. His villages, hawked wanderer vain. Child's face, big stag homes. Okay, I guess I gotta get my reading voice on. The voice belonged to Demo, the worst of all the bullies in the area. As Kaine struggled to stand, a final stone came skittering through the mud and bounced against her foot. Blood oozed from a cut above her eye and blurred her vision, but she could make out the shapes of Demo and his usual gang of idiots. The boy seemed taken aback for a moment by Kaine's seeming indifference to the blood dripping from her face, but quickly regained his bravado. What's up, freak? You like the rain? You like getting all wet? Or did you finally decide to run away from home? Though she knew it was futile, Kaine turned to leave. Before she'd get more than a few steps, the other children scrambled to surround her, cruelty burning in their eyes. Kaine knew those were not the only eyes on her. The tormentor's parents watched from the safety of their home. She was attuned to the sensation. It was the one she had experienced many times before. While some villagers simply turned a blind eye to the actions of the children, many encouraged it openly. In a society ruled by superstition and fear, Kaine was something to be hated and if possible destroyed. I didn't say you could leave, freak. Demo's words chewed at her like a worm through an apple. He can't hurt me, she lied to herself. Be strong, be brave, he can't hurt me, he can't hurt me, he can't hurt. Oh look, the little freak's gonna cry, what's wrong? Are you sad that everyone hates you and wants you dead? Wow, these kids are mean. Kaine prayed for the rain to flood down and carry her away from a world that seemed to have no place for her. But if there were gods, they chose to ignore her as Demo crept ever closer. The clouds began to thin and the rain slowed. Even the weather hates me. I'm useless. I'm a failure. I wish Demo's rock had taken my head off. Kaine couldn't meet Demo's leering gaze. She lowered her eyes and stared at the muddy ground below. The bully moved forward until he was inches away. He could smell the scent of old meat on his breath. She could still smell the scent of old meat on his breath. The boy grabbed Kaine's face with thick fingers and yanked it upward. She tried to turn away, but he forced her gaze back and jammed a thumb against her eyelid to pry it open. Show me. No. Did you just say no? Demo grinned evilly. You don't say no to me. No one says no to me, not even taking his attention from Kaine. He called to his cohorts. Come on, guys, let's give the freak what she deserves. As soon as Demo finished, kicks and blows began to rain down upon Kaine. Demo paused, still grinning as Kaine curled into a ball and tried to make the pain stop. I don't get you, freak. What you acting like a girl for? Everyone knows what you really are. Kaine ignored the question, choosing instead to stare at the weather vane. It continued to point east as if supremely confident about the future it had chosen for her. Go home? Yeah, that's a funny joke for someone with dead parents and no home to go to. Freak, chanted the children. Freak, freak, freak. Kaine closed her eyes and listened to the rain, waiting for the pain to start again. As the clutching hands of the village children closed around her, she bent her mind to the sound of the rain, letting it become her world entire. The rain fell, but the pain never came. Only when the laughter of her tormentors turned to terrified cries did she dare open a single blood-caked eye. Kaine was shocked to see Demo sprawled on the ground, holding his head and screaming in pain. She could see blood welling from spaces between his fat, twisted fingers. Oh my god, he's crying, he's actually crying. Deprived of the leader, the other children glanced back and forth between themselves as if waiting for someone to step forward and take charge. When no savior emerged, they began an easy shuffle away from Kaine, but the young girl was the least of their concerns. Instead, their attention was wrapped on the ancient woman standing a few feet away. After struggling for breath for a moment, she finally spoke in a voice thick with rage. Hurts like a bitch, don't it? Now I suggest you scatter before I throw another one, and if any of you little bastards ever touch my Kaine again, I'll do far worse than throw a rock you can count on. The old woman crouched down and gently touched the hand Demo was using to cover the wound. Before he could think to protest, she ground her palm into the wound and twisted back and forth. What? Oh my god, this is an old woman to a child. Actually, he deserves it, but... Ow, he screamed, leaping to his feet. Stop it, what are you doing? Quit whining, ain't no one ever died from a scratch. You hit me with a rock, you stupid bitch. A big one. I'm trying to watch my language here, but Kaine's family does not exactly make this easy. A big one, that thing could have killed me. The old woman shrugged, death is the best cure for stupid. Demo's face twisted with rage at her words, locking his eyes on Kaine. He took a step backward and spat on the ground. Get out, leave this village, and once you hear either of you, seeing the old woman grab another stone. Demo and his companions turned tail and ran. As they fled, the old woman grabbed her side and barked out a single laugh. Ah, look at the fat boy go. Guess he's healthy enough to run from a fight. The woman's smile faded as she turned her attention to Kaine. Kneeling down, she removed her shawl and placed it around the young girl's shoulders, and then produced a cloth from the folds of her dress and began blotting the blood on her forehead. Oh, Kaine, she said, why didn't you fight back? You're stronger than that lot. The words of her grandmother stung Kaine, and she turned away. Don't be nice to me, she said. I don't deserve it. Nothing matters anymore. Her tears held in check for so long, finally began to fall on the muddy ground below. Everyone hates me. They think I cause bad things to happen. They think I'm a freak. I wish I was dead. As Kaine's tears turned to sobs, she felt her grandmother's hands on her shoulder. Despite her advanced age and diminutive size, she was a woman of surprising strength, and Kaine found herself unable to turn away. Don't talk like that, girl. It's a river wide and deep that flows between the realms of this world and the next, and it grants no mercy to any that attempt to cross in. You got a duty to fight until your last breath, understand? The old woman tightened her grip and tried to still the tremor in her voice. You know the pain of losing someone close to you, Kaine. You know because you survived it. As the words hit home, out of breath, Kaine was struck by the force of her love for the old woman. As a young child, she didn't even know of her grandmother, but when her parents died, the woman quickly accepted her as her own. Grandma, as Kaine called her, was cunning, vulgar, and quick to violence, and their first few years together had not been easy. But with each year that passed, Kaine and her grandmother had grown closer. However, it was only now, sitting in the mud with tears and blood caking on her face, that Kaine truly understood the depths of her affection. Here was a woman who had seen hard times, who had seen death, who had fought through all these things and somehow emerged on the other side. If anyone could understand Kaine's pain and loneliness, it was her. Do I make you sick, Grandma? Of course not. don't be an ass. Kaine drew her grandmother's moth-eaten shawl around her body and shuddered. But my body, it's not normal. If it was normal, then Mom and Dad wouldn't. Hush, interrupted Grandma. I'll not hear another word of this nonsense. You're my granddaughter and I love you, and if folks have a problem with that, they can just go to hell. With that, With that, the old woman reached out and placed a wreath of dried flowers in Kaine's hair. The skill it took to bend the flowers without breaking the stems or losing a single petal was remarkable, and the beauty of it made Kaine want to cry all over again. Oh my gosh, these are Lunatiers. Grandma, you made this for me. Lunatiers were legendary flowers. Most people could live their entire lives without ever seeing one, and yet her grandmother had somehow collected a dozen or more. Kaine reached up and touched the wreath as if she couldn't believe it was real. Where did you find these? Just stumbled on them while I was out doing the shopping. The old woman turned away as she spoke, leading Kaine to suspect the search had been more difficult than she was letting on. The pains she took to construct the ornament, let alone track down the flowers used in its construction, made Kaine's heart hurt. She reached up and gently adjusted the wreath, admiring the way it felt between her fingers. Didn't quite turn out right, said her grandmother as she squinted at it. These old hands have trouble with delicate work, but it sure looks good on a pretty girl like you. Kaine blushed and turned away. You think I'm pretty? Of course you are. What a fool thing to say. Thank you, Grandma. Her grandmother smiled. We're gonna be fine, you and me, she said. As long as we got each other, we'll be just fine. Kaine took her grandmother's hand in hers, and the two of them struggled to their feet. As they began the long walk home, Kaine gripped the hand with all her might as if trying to stop smoke from drifting away on the wind. The rain had stopped. Kaine stood beneath the weather vane, watching it spin in lazy circles, no longer caring about the direction it faced when it stopped. I don't need to escape. I have a home now. Grandma loves me. That's enough. Even if it's us against the world. Kaine let her gaze drift up past the vane into the cloudy sky. The last faint hints of a rainbow were slowly fading. As she turned and headed for home, the light scattered into a million particles and vanished, seemingly taken away on the breeze. Oh my god, there's another one. Alright. In the distance, Kaine heard the steady sounds of an axe striking wood. The noise had purposeful quality to it, as if she were hearing a master woodsman go about his work. The firewood being produced, however, was far from the work of art, as could be. Pieces of every shape and size were being flung about a barren yard with wild abandon. Anyone trying to stack such wood would probably die of frustration before the job was through. I'm not saying that on stream. Kaine's grandmother flailed away with the axe, filling the air with both splinters, wood, and words that would make most hardened sailors blush. Grandma called Kaine. That you, Kaine? Yelled the old woman, taking her eyes off the wood for a moment. Don't get too close or I might take your expletive deleted foot off by mistake. She brought the axe down on a piece of wood, sending chips flying in every direction. One spun past Kaine, close enough for her to hear the whistle, at which point she decided to step back. Once she scuttled to a safe distance, she cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, Grandma, do you need help? I can get you water, lunch, or a new axe or something. The axe, poised to strike another wobbly blow, paused midair. The old woman considered her granddaughter's offer for a moment, then smiled. Tell you what, since I'm doing such a piss-poor job of chopping, why don't you come here and take over so I can go get the water? Shades of him restlessly, and I don't want you running into one of them bastards. Relinquishing the axe, her grandmother picked up a long pole with wooden buckets on either end. Gathering water was by far the more difficult of the two jobs, but Kaine knew better than to complain. Once Grandma's mind was set, there was no changing it. Kaine did her best to help with the chores, but Grandma took every task that required travel to the village. Though she had a long list of plausible excuses, Kaine knew the real reason she didn't want her granddaughter to be taunted or harassed by the villagers. Once Kaine moved in, Grandma decided to take up residence a good distance from the area. Out of sight, out of mind seemed to be the best policy when it came to the villagers and her granddaughter. And rare were the days when any but two of them could be found on the rocky acre of land they called home. Kaine enjoyed the solitude, but harbored a secret resentment that her grandmother was forced to spend her golden years in such a place. After watching her grandmother leave, Kaine turned her attention to the task at hand. She had never chopped wood before in her life, and soon discovered why the old woman hated the chore. Chopping wood sucks, by the way. if you have ever... You know, to chop the wood, you have to hit it in the same place with the axe. Like, if you're chopping here, you have to keep chopping here. If you're a little too far this way, or if you're a little too far this way, you start a new chop, which sounds like common sense, but it's really not something you think about until you start cutting wood. Anyway, swing after swing of the axe produced only a tiny crack in the wood, and when she finally managed to connect with a solid stroke, the tool embedded itself in the log and refused to budge. She got pinched. That could happen with a chainsaw too. It's called getting pinched. Frustrated, Kaine swung the axe around her head and threw it, log and all, across the yard. Damn it, crap. She suddenly understood the joy her grandmother felt in a good curse. Okay, so that's how that started. Happier now, she picked up the axe, forced it from the wood, and resumed chopping. She had a natural skill with a blade, but the task was challenging, and blisters soon began to form on her small pink hands. This is tough, and my logs are all weird sizes. Spitting on her palms and ignoring the pain, Kaine redoubled her efforts. Just as she was developing a rhythm, Grandma returned from the village, setting down her buckets with a small sigh. She took a look at one of the logs and coughed out a wheezy laugh. Pretty clumsy girl, you better practice if you... Her grandmother suddenly collapsed to her knees, causing one of the buckets to wobble precariously. Eyes wide, Kaine dropped the axe and ran to her grandmother's side. Grandma! The old woman shook her head and pointed a trembling finger at the bucket. Get the bucket, can't let it spill. Kaine steadied the bucket with a foot. As she knelt by her grandmother, a small bit of water sloshed over the side and made a new home in the hem of her dress, but Kaine didn't notice. Grandma, what's happening? Crazed with panic, she grabbed her grandmother by the shoulders and shook. After a moment, the woman lifted her arms and batted Kaine away. Stop that, just stop, she cried, breathing heavily. It ain't like I'm dying. Just tired from the trip is all. Kaine desperately wanted to believe her, but one look at the old woman's shaking hands and worn face told her more than words ever could. Her grandmother had lived a long, hard life, and it seemed the bill was finally coming due. Time when her grandmother watched over Kaine was ending. Sooner than either one of them had feared, the positions would be reversed. The next morning, Kaine came to the side of her grandmother's bed and took her wrinkled hand. Grandma, you're sick and you need medicine. I'm going to the village. The old woman shook her head and tried to rise, but Kaine gently pushed her down. It's all right, she said, I'll be fine. Grandmother fixed her with a gaze that could melt steel. After what seemed like an eternity, she finally lowered her eyes and sighed. Well, I don't like it. Expletive deleted, but I guess I should quit being so stubborn and let you grow up. The old woman watched Kaine strapped on her boots and made her way down the road to the village. Hours later, as an unseen sun made its way across a dark grainy sky, she was still watching. Kaine moved at a brisk pace, checking her pockets every few minutes to make sure the money Grandma gave her was still there. Every noise caused her to spin on her heels, making sure she wasn't being stalked by Shade, or worse, Demo and his gang. But she encountered neither tormentors nor shades, and Kaine finally found herself at the entrance to the village. Few adults she passed glanced sideways at her, then muttered to each other to find raised hands before slinking away into the shadows. Her heart racing, Kaine took a series of rapid, shallow breaths and tried to calm herself. I have to prove myself, I have to help Grandma, I have to be strong. She chanted those words to herself over and over. She slowly made her way. Finally, her eyes settled on a rotund older woman who was angrily waving her arms in the air and telling everyone who would listen exactly what she thought of Kaine's presence. Hey lady, said Kaine with a bravado she did not feel. Where's the apothecary? The woman's flabby cheek shook in bewildered anger. How dare this thing speak to me, they seemed to say. But Kaine saw that her eyes held a different emotion, fear. Yeah, we're both scared, lady, trust me on this one. Which way? Kaine repeated. The woman pointed at a small building to her right before hitching up her dress and stumbling off in the other direction. Kaine cringed, expecting a stone to come flying from the assembled crowd, but none came. Her mind was filled with a strange sense of pride as she made her way to the apothecary, but the new motion had little time to take root, for as soon as she opened the door, she noticed a familiar customer at the counter. It was Demo. He clearly had been sent here on some kind of family errand because his gang of followers was nowhere to be found. Oh my god, he sputtered. What are you doing here, freak? The insult was delivered without force, and Kaine happily ignored it. Stretching on tiptoes to see over the counter, she asked the shopkeeper for the medication. Ha, barked Demo. That old bitch finally keel over. Go to hell, Demo. The boy's eyes grew so wide they seemed ready to fall off his head before he could let fly come back or worse a punch. The apothecary told him to knock it off before he kicked him out of the store. Demo slunk out of the shop, cursing Kaine under his breath. Once he was gone, she allowed herself to breathe once more, taking a brief tour of the shop while the owner prepared her medication. Countless tiny bottles filled the cramped store, each with a label written in some indecipherable language. An ocean of aromas assaulted her nose, creating a scent that was exotic but not altogether unpleasant. Seeing such a variety of supplies gave Kaine a sense of peace. Surely in a world so vast there would be a place that she could call home. On the far wall behind the counter rested a portrait of a stunning young girl. The picture had once contained bright, vibrant colors, but time had worked its cruel magic and they were beginning to fade. The beauty of work, however, remained undiminished. She liked that picture. Kaine turned to find the apothecary with a small vial of medicine in his hand. His eyes were gentle but sad, and they seemed to stare through her and into nothing as he spoke. That's my daughter. I sketched it when she was just a little girl. She's been dead for a long time now. Kaine didn't know how to respond. She just stared at the portrait and tried to come up with the right words. Pictures are wonderful things. Continue with the shopkeeper, though. The ones closest to you live on forever. He shook his head slightly and looked down at Kaine and smiled, handing her the medicine. He reached a sizable green apron and produced a handful of old wax crayons. You should have these. There's no one left that I wish to draw. Kaine took an instinctive step back, causing the shopkeeper's face to darken. Yes, I've heard the rumors about you, he said. It's a small village and word travels quickly. Between you and me, I'm not sure which of them to believe, but I also don't think they matter much. I know your grandmother, Kali, and I think that she was driven out of this town. I think the way she was driven out of this town is just deplorable. Grandma's name is Callie, thought Kaine suddenly. She was still mulling this new fact over in her mind as she reached out gently, took the crowns from the apothecary's hands. Your grandmother's an old friend of mine, he said, as Kaine scooted away yet again, and I owe her much. I wager she would like it if you drew a picture of her. Yes, I think she would like that very much, Kaine murmured. A quiet agreement, but inside her heart was bursting. Never before had a village treated her with anything but complete contempt. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible step, but it was a step nonetheless, and with enough tiny steps, she might one day discover the rest of the world. When Kaine returned home, she found her grandmother asleep in her bed. Her feet were blackened and raw, even bleeding in bits, a bit in places, leading Kaine to think that she had been pacing around the room until exhaustion finally caught up with her. She placed the medicine by her grandmother's pillow and turned to leave, but she found the old woman's hand clasped around her arm. Back already, are you? Asked Grandma with a yawn. Come here, let me have a look at you. Grandma sat up and examined Kaine from head to toe. Finally satisfied that nothing terrible had befallen the grandchild, she leaned back and allowed herself to relax. Well, how was it? Those bastards giving you trouble? It was kind of fun, said Kaine with a small smile. No, seriously, it was fun, eh? Asked her grandmother, a voice which implied she believed anything but. So anytime you need me to run an errand, just let me know. As she spoke, Kaine removed the crowns from her pocket. After a brief explanation of their source, she informed her grandmother that she was going to sketch a portrait of me. Ridiculous, no one wants to stare at a wrinkled old crone. But Grandma, it'll make you live forever. Explicitive deleted. Explicitive deleted. Said her grandmother, throwing back the sheet from her bed. Living forever would just piss me off. Now put those crowns away and help with dinner. Kaine would not relent, and in the end, Grandma found herself leaning against the wall of their house as if posing for a master artist. Kaine took up the crowns, eyed her subject carefully, and set to work. Just as her grandmother was about to nod off, Kaine finished the piece. After staring at it for a bit, she released it from her grip and slowly let it drift to the floor. It's terrible, it doesn't look like you at all. I'm sorry, Grandma, I thought these crowns would, make drawing easy or something. The old woman's eyes narrowed at her granddaughter's disappointment. Let me be the judge of that, she said, ignoring the pain of her back and reaching for the paper. The sketch could have been a person's face. It also could have been a boulder, a lump of clay, an incredibly misshapen loaf of bread, all rendered in a chaotic array of colors. The old woman stared at the picture for a long time, slowly wheezed out a laugh. True to her word, the old woman gave the picture a place of honor above the kitchen table. In the days that followed, Kaine would often catch her staring at the portrait with a strange smile on her face, an action she interpreted as silent, mocking laughter. A week later, Kaine could stand it no longer and asked her grandmother to take the artwork down. Posh, said the old woman, I'll take this down when they roll me in my shroud. She pondered this for a bit and then turned to Kaine and dropped to one knee. Listen to me, girl. Seeing this picture makes me happy in a way I've never felt before, and it makes me want to go on so that someday you can feel the same happiness. It was a moment that burned itself in Kaine's memory, a perfect blend of pride, love, and joy that came together to form a lifelong remembrance. She swore to never forget this moment, to never forget the old woman who made her place in the world possible. Time moves on, people and memories move in and out of life like ghosts passing through a hall, but this moment will be different, Kaine swore, because I will remember it forever. Forever. No. Kaine listened to the sound of crackling firewood and stared at the black object on her plate. She'd been pushing it around the wooden disc for a good 10 minutes, ignoring the bemused stare of her grandmother. Finally, she summoned her courage and gave the object a brief sniff. A sharp, bitter scent flew up her nostrils and made its home there, causing her face to twist with disgust. Grandma, I can't believe you want me to eat a bug. The old woman threw some more wood under the cooking pot and snorted. It's no bug, you fool. Girl, it's a berry. Why the hell would I be feeding you bugs? Yeah, sure. Well, it looks like a bug, and I think it's burnt or something because it smells terrible. Well, with that, Kaine held her nose through the berry in her throat, chewing it as little as possible. Oh yeah, that's terrible, alright. Why, you little brat, laughed the old woman. Look at this ass on you. You've been spending too much time with me, and that's a fact. 5 years have passed since the moment when Kaine's grandmother saved her from the bullies. As is often the way with two stubborn people, the relationship had grown in fits and starts, but moved forward all the same. Meals that used to be somber affairs were now filled with laughter and hurled abuse in equal measure. Kaine could not remember a time when she had been happier. As the years went by, Kaine started to shoulder more and more of the daily responsibilities. Her grandmother's legs grew weaker by the day, and she could no longer do many of the chores she used to take for granted. And so this morning, Kaine, lacing up her work boots with breakfast of burned berry rolling through her belly. "Where are you going today?" asked Grandma suddenly. Kaine looked up surprised. The old woman rarely asked for specifics anymore. "Well, I was gonna check out the kelma trees and see if they were ripe. Thought we could make some jam or something. Oh, I'm gonna pick up some flagstones so I need to take the wheelbarrow." "Flagstones? What in the hell for?" Kaine stared at her grandmother and then held out an arm and swept it around their home. Constructed mostly of cloth, rope, rubble, the old place sagged like a boxer in the final round. "Grandma, a dying cat could chew through this house. Going to build a stone wall so we have some protection." The old woman laughed, exposing her toothless grin to the world. "Explicit deleted girl, if a bunch of thieves went to ransack this old place, let them come. We got nothing worth stealing anyway. I'm not worried about thieves, I'm worried about shades. People saw one west of the village yesterday." The old woman tilted her head and stared at her granddaughter. "Well, shoot, I don't know why you have to do it today. We can worry about it some other." "Grandma, no. If I don't go to the kelma trees, we won't eat tonight. You know that." Confused expression passed across the old woman's face for a moment. And for a moment, she was a small child lost at a carnival. "Yes," she said after a bit. "Yes, of course you're right. I'm sorry, Kaine. Lately, it seems my mind is." She didn't finish the thought, instead walking over to her nightstand, gently taking the wreath of lunar tears from the drawer. The flower petals had aged to a brilliant whiteness, and Kaine thought it was more beautiful now than the day she first received it. "You're gonna be a true woman soon," Grandma said. She placed the flowers in the girl's hair, so that means less chatter about shades and building defensive walls and more talk about how beautiful you've become. Annoyed, Kaine reached up to remove the garland, but the look on her grandmother's face stopped her hand. "You're a beautiful thing," said the old woman, "and there ain't another one like you in all the world. I'm very proud of you." "Okay, Grandma, that's enough. Explicit of deleted compliments for one day." "Such a mouth on you, where did that come from? Gee, I wonder. I'll teach you to sass me, girl," yelled Grandma. Suddenly, she lurched forward and grabbed Kaine by the ears, pulling her around the room with a crazed grin on her face. "Grandma," yelled Kaine in a quacking voice. "I missed it." The old woman stared at her and blinked and slowly held her wrinkled hands out as if it was the first time she'd ever seen them. Oh, I don't know what happened there. I'm sorry, girl. Sometimes my mind just..." Kaine thought the look on her grandmother's face was the most heartbreaking thing she'd ever seen. "Listen," she began, "maybe I should stay home after all." "No, I won't have you stay here and keep an eye on an old codger like me. You go get your fruit and your wall and whatnot. I'll be fine, and when you come back, I'll have a nice grasshopper dinner waiting for you." Kaine rolled her eyes and kissed her grandmother on the forehead and made ready to depart, trying desperately to ignore the worry that was gnawing at the walls of her heart. Kaine could feel the old woman's eyes watch her. She moved down the path. Don't turn around, she told herself, but in the end, temptation was too great. She spun around on her heel for one final look, and a small, bent woman standing in the front of a ramshackle hut with a sad expression on her face. God, she looked so old now. It's like the wind could reach down and just carry her away. Kaine worried about her grandmother all day, causing her work to suffer. What little fruit she could collect was tossed carelessly into the wheelbarrow, and she only found a couple of stones before losing interest in the project. Finally, as dusk approached, she decided to call it a day. Cursing herself for the lack of focus, Kaine pushed the nearly empty wheelbarrow back down the path. As she crested down the final hill, she suddenly froze in place. The wheelbarrow fell from her fingers and collapsed on its side, sending a few pieces of wrinkled fruit rolling back down the hill. Her gaze was transfixed by a thick black cloud that hovered just ahead, tracing its path with a finger. Kaine suddenly felt her stomach knot in on itself. No, gods, no. Her grandma's house was ablaze, the flames licking it up as if trying to touch the sky itself. Grandma. Kaine ran then, faster than she ever had moved in her life. Once she tripped on a stone and went sprawling into the rocky ground, but she leapt to her feet and continued running, unmindful of the blood spilled from the wounds from her wounded hands and knees. As she got closer and closer, Kaine's mind began to race in time with her footfalls. It's too dark, not just fire, can't be fire, too much smoke, gotta save her. She burst into the front yard and came to a sudden halt, her worst suspicions confirmed. The smoke from the fire was mingling with the thick, inky blackness of an enormous shade. The massive creature supported itself on 3 twisted feet and achieved balance through means of a large armored tail. Scales, horns, and claws spread from its body in a random chaotic pattern, giving it the appearance of a lizard designed by some insane god. Seeing Kaine, it let out a roar and flicked its tail, sending small whirlwinds spinning around the yard. For a moment, the creature retreated into the shimmering, inky blackness, as if her mind was unable to comprehend such a thing could actually exist. But then the smell hit her, a blend of rotted meat and excrement, and the horror became real once more. The creature bellowed again And this time, Kaine responded with a scream of her own. "Alright, you bastard," she thought as a scream echoed off high cliffs around them. "It's you or me. Let's go." Shade eyed Kaine with bemused interest, and it began looking from her to the house and back again, as urging her to look at the destruction it had so gleefully wrought. With dread building in her heart, Kaine glanced towards the house. Through the smoke and flames, she spotted a small figure struggling to escape the ruins. Grandma, at the sound of her voice, the old woman began waving frantically. "She's alive," thought Kaine. Alive. Kaine's legs sprang to life as she raced across the front yard, flaming wreckage of the house. Before she could advance more than a few steps, the shade opened its mouth and let out a roar powerful enough to uproot trees and send them flying. The blast sent Kaine tumbling through the air before smashing her against the rocky earth. Stars danced in front of her eyes as she tried to remember how her legs worked. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up now. As Kaine struggled to her feet, the shade stomped toward the house and pinned her grandmother to the ground with the tip of the claw. The old woman struggled to move the claw from her stomach, but she might as well have been pushing a mountain. She coughed briefly, sending a small spray of blood to the air, and collapsed to the ground, her energy spent. Kaine lurched to her feet, only to fall back to the earth with a gasp. Her ankles were on fire. One or both of them were surely broken. Ignoring the pain that screamed through her body, she began dragging herself across the ground, leaving a drunken trail of dust and blood in her wake. "Grandma, hold on, just a little longer." The grandmother's face was turning blue, her eyes rolling back until only the whites were exposed. Kaine pulled herself across the ground with maddening slowness. The distance seemed to increase with every second that passed. The shade glanced between the two women and flicked out its tongue, its giant mouth turning up at the corners. Short, panting breaths belched from somewhere deep inside its core. Bastard, laughing at us, she had no idea how such a mindless creature could experience emotion, but there could be no doubt that the shade was taking joy in their suffering. "Yeah, I see your plan." The shade moved its claws slightly, allowing Grandma to breathe again. It was clearly keeping her alive, only to snuff out her life when Kaine was close enough to touch her. "I'm gonna kill this bastard." Summoning all her strength, Kaine rose to her feet. There was a sickening snap from her right ankle, and as the foot twisted backward, but she forced it from her mind and began to hobble towards the monster. Pulling a small knife from the pouch at her waist, she leapt onto the foot that pinned her grandmother and plunged the weapon deep. "Give her back," she screamed. "Give her back to me." It was like stabbing a rock. After a few swipes, the knife broke at the hilt with a dull snap. Kaine, the shade, panted laughter again, then raised its tail and sent it rushing through the air toward the young girl that latched to its foot. Kaine never had a chance. The tail struck her square in the chest and sent her crashing into the burning wreckage of the home. As she lay on the ground, with blood pouring from multiple wounds, a small, weak voice spoke up. Kaine's vision blurred, but she forced herself to focus on the sound. Finally, her eyes cleared enough for her to make out her grandmother's hands reaching out to her through the smoke. "Grandma, Kaine, you gotta run, you can't best this one." Kaine grabbed the hands and held on with all her strength. "Grandma, come, we have to go." The old woman coughed loudly. One of her hands, slick with blood, slipped from Kaine's grasp and thumped to the ground below. "Grandma, no. I said run, expletive deleted. You have to live. Have to get through." The thought would stay forever unfinished before she could say another word. The shade's clawed foot descended, smashing through the remains of the roof and down upon the shattered figure of the old woman. Blood oozed from the gaps in the creature's toes as the terrible putrid smell assaulted Kaine's nose once again. She stared at the foot, dumbfounded, convinced that what she was seeing could not possibly be real. When the creature finally lifted its appendage, all that remained underneath was a twisted, unrecognizable mass of rubble and red. Her grandmother was gone. Kaine blinked, trying to feel hands which had been in hers just a moment before. For a fleeting instant, she could remember the warmth of that embrace, the trembling of the fingers, but then the sensation drifted away on the breeze and was gone. Memories flashed through Kaine's mind, one after another, faster and faster, until they became a meaningless jangle of noise. Kaine screamed, and then a thunderous sound that echoed through the cliffs seemed to roll away forever. The shade eased forward, black ichor pouring from its mouth and dissolving into smoke on the ground below. The earth shook with every step as it crept towards its prey. Kaine's body slowly rose, as if controlled by a mad puppet master. Her arms and legs were bent at impossible angles, her head lolled dangerously to the side, yet somehow she managed to stand. Staring at the shade, her eyes began to glow red with deep fire. The creature, so confident just moments before, took a slow, hesitant step back, trying to discern if this broken human could possibly pose a threat. Kaine seized the moment. Laughing like a mad woman, she leapt into the air and plunged the shattered hilt of her knife deep into the leg of the shade. Shade shook Kaine off like a fly, sending her crashing into the earth once again. Her chest rose and fell slowly as if a great weight were resting on it. Moist sounds of pain echoed through her mind. Something warm and thick oozed from her ears. Is that blood? Think it is. Think I'm bleeding to death. No, can't be. Can't die. Grandma told me to live. Deep inside Kaine's mind, something finally broke. The sound, the pain, the smoke, the flames, all of it faded away until all that remained was a single incantation repeated over and over again. Kill it, 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 kill it. Kill it, 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 kill it now. As the spark that was Kaine slowly began to flicker and die, she felt her desire to kill and her desire to live blend into one. The distance between heartbeats grew longer and longer and longer. Oh my god. I've been reading for half an hour. Is it done?
The beast approaches. Oh, I know.
Alright. And we're back. For real this time. With a boss fight. Giant tentacle shade. That's what I like to call this one. I don't know if it actually has a name. Actually, it's not quite giant.
What anger this creature must have. How did it even survive these past 5 years?
I'm not gonna let this happen again. It dies today.
My sword feels lighter. It's not the blade, but the skill of the user. Strike it down.
I think that's it. Oh, did I not kill it in time? Oh, dang. That was embarrassing. There we go. Gosh, I would have taken one heavy attack. No, 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 game, no. No! Gently, weakly, softly, the shade, sure that its tormentor was dead, turned and stomped off towards the horizon. Stopping along the way to bellow one final roar, couldn't kill it. Shamed beyond imagining, Kaine tried to turn her head to the side, but only succeeded in coughing up a huge gout of blood. It was getting difficult to see. Only after a moment of fierce concentration did she realize that her left eye was gone. Laughing to herself, she turned her remaining eye to the ruins of her home and noticed a ragged stump of arm resting a few feet away. Yeah, that's mine, she thought with a mad giggle. This is gonna make clapping a real bitch. That's actually really funny. What is up with people in the NieR franchise losing arms? Ha, cried a sudden voice in the depths of her mind. Finally gonna die, are ya? Well, you had it coming. Go to hell, Demo, she thought at the unseen assailant. Go to hell before I pluck out your eyes and feed them to the dog. The voice of her childhood terror evaporated into smoke, only to be replaced by another more recent voice. Hold still, said the apothecary, materializing from the ruins like a ghost. I want to draw you, that way you can live forever. No, stop, don't want to live forever, want to die right here. I see, he said quietly. Well, if that's what you want. The spectral shopkeeper fluttered in and out of existence for a moment and then produced a small piece of paper and sketched quickly. After a few seconds, he turned the page to Kaine and smiled. Since you rejected my offer, I decided to draw someone else. It was a picture of her grandmother, real as life. Kaine opened her mouth to thank the man, but stopped as the picture began to blacken in the middle. Before she could say anything, dozens of multi-legged insects began to swarm across the image, tearing at it with sharpened pincers. No, stop, don't hurt that picture. Kaine reached out with her remaining arm and waved futilely at the picture. To her surprise, the insects fell off the picture into the ground below. Where they vanished into tiny black tendrils of smoke. Relieved, Kaine turned her good eye back to the picture, only to open her mouth and silent scream. The sketch now showed her grandma as she truly was, a smashed, unrecognizable lump of what? The apothecary smiled and then broke into a jolly dance. See that? He cried as he danced his jig. It's perfect now. She looks just like you. I look like that. Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Drowning in despair, Kaine laid her head back in the mud and smoke of her ruined house and waited for the end to come, but just before she let everything go, an unfamiliar voice began whispering in her ear. Ain't you got a wish, sunshine? The voice was vulgar and fierce at the same time, as if insanity had finally somehow found a way to take form. Kaine wanted to scream as the voice crawled under her skin, but her lungs refused to work. You know, a wish, like a prayer or something? Why don't you get on your knees and start praying to heaven? Please, invisible man in the sky, save me, save me. Yeah, ha ha ha. Kaine finally resorted to shouting at the voice in her mind. I don't make wishes, they don't come true for me. I'm a curse, I'm a freak. I should be left to die. The other voice boomed in her ears. Bwah ha 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 ha. Oh god, you are the best. Kaine glanced down and saw a black shiny substance oozing from her leg. She tried to brush it away, but her remaining arm would no longer respond. The substance slowly crept around her feet and began moving up toward the rest of her body. Is this death? Is this what it's like? Or is my mind just losing itself? She could feel the slime oozing upward, feel the hot searing pain it left in its wake. Whatever else might be happening, she was alive and this was real. Come on, said the voice, let it go. Kaine tried to ignore the voice and concentrate on the pain, but the newcomer would have none of it. Don't ignore me, sunshine. You're ready to give up, ready to die, so now why not let me have it? Have what? Body. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. I want to stand on the ground, feel the rain, taste the wind. The voice paused as if licking its lips. When it resumed, it was filled with mad, unabated joy. And I want to take your hands and use them to choke the expletive deleted life out of people. I want to tear out their throats and bathe in the blood, just like before. In response, Kaine shifted her head and vomited. The warmth of it crept down her front, mingled with the pain of the encroaching black ooze. Are you a shade? Ha ha ha, yeah, maybe, what of it? The slime reached her face, crept up past her nose, and slowly oozed into the socket of her missing eye. The moment it touched her brain, Kaine was struck by the most powerful sensation she'd ever felt in her life. It was ecstasy. She wanted to scream with delight, but all she could manage was a small, whispered moan. Feels good, don't it? Asked the voice with a chuckle. Yeah, what can I say? I know how to please the ladies. Now give me that body. Come on, give me the body, and I'll give you more of this feeling. It's a fair trade. A black lump began to protrude from Kaine's side as she watched. It grew longer and thicker, and eventually taking the form of her missing arm. I can see better, she thought. My eye must have come back, whatever, I missed it. The slime reached up to envelop the rest of her face, but she managed to brush it away. Stop, she whispered, marveling at how she'd regained her voice. Stop. The black ooze hesitated as if considering this request and quickly shimmered down her body before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. He said, Oh, what the hell, sunshine, screamed the voice. We had a deal. I thought you said you wanted to die. Grandma said, I can't die yet. Brief image of her grandmother, bloodied and broken, flashed before her eyes. She saw the shade. Man, this really could have just been a cutscene. Come on, guys. She saw the shade that killed her and heard its mocking laughter, then closed her eyes and forced the image from her mind. Her whole body was quaking with rage. When she opened her eyes again, they burned a bright red. That thing took my grandmother. I have to kill it before I die. Kaine glanced down and saw a mysterious pattern. The pattern of the shades burned itself under her left arm. Well, I'll be damned, said the voice cheerfully. Look at that, sunshine. I think you and me are gonna be good friends now. Kaine stared intently at her arm. The more emotional she felt, the more the letters seemed ready to puncture her skin and begin infecting the rest of her body. The arm clearly had a will of its own now. Stop, gotta stop, holding her left arm in her right. Kaine took a deep breath and tried to calm herself. Come on, don't fight it, pleaded the voice. Hate's my favorite dish and I'm hungry. Let it go, feel the anger, burn with the fire of revenge, thirst for blood, and then go out there and... Shut up and get the hell out of my body. Your body, oh that's rich, sunshine, real rich. Look, why don't you just up and die so I can have this body all to myself. What do you say about those buddies of yours in the area? I'd love to see you dead. Kaine grabbed a nearby shard of glass and tried to saw off the shade-infected portion of her side. Before she could, her darkened arm grabbed her right wrist, crushing it. Kaine screamed and dropped the shard as the sound of bone crunching on bone filled the air. Gahaha, stupid idiot girl, you're possessed now, Sunshine, and there ain't no going back. The voice left again, a loud, long wail that seemed to go on without end. Possessed, whispered Kaine. Yeah, possessed, you and me. We got what you might call a timeshare arrangement. Remember how folks used to think you were a freak? Well, wait till they get a load of you now. Kaine looked up, tears in her eyes. The sky seemed smaller somehow, darker. Is this because of that shade? Is this how they see the world? So, listen up, heard the voice. I know this whole possession thing seems a bit sudden, but it ain't all that bad. There's plenty in it for you too. I'm a very powerful creature, Sunshine. Now that power belongs to you. You got enemies, people you want to kill. I can make it happen. That little fat kid who kept picking on you, that big old shade that squashed your granny, will wrap them up in their own, buttholes. No more abuse for you, Sunshine. No more pain. Wait, said Kaine. You're a shade. Why would you want to help me kill another shade? What, you think I'm some kind of racism killing snob? I don't give a good expletive deleted who you murder, honey pants. I just want to drink from the well. Kaine considered this as she struggled to her feet, the power of the shade coursing through her. The smoke from her house was drifting away in the wind as she enjoyed the way the cool evening breeze felt on her new arm. After a long pause, the voice spoke up again. So, how about it? You and me, we could have some good times together. Look, I'll even take care of the bloody part if you don't want. Expletive deleted off. Expletive deleted, muttered Kaine. I'll handle the killing. Ka-ha-ha-ha, screamed the voice. Oh, look at you. Oh, Sunshine, we're gonna have so much fun. So listen, my name's Tyran, and if you ever need me, I'll just be hanging out in this piece of meat you call a heart. Now get to it. The more you kill, the more your heart turns rotten and sour, and I like rotten and sour. Kaine found herself nodding at the voice. Yeah, she said, I think this can work. I'm gonna find that shade, I'm gonna strangle it with its own guts, and when I'm done, I'm gonna do the same to you, Tyran. Count on it. Ah, laughed Tyran. I've expletive deleted bigger than you, so good luck with that. Oh, and hey, one more thing. Right now, you and me are sharing this body, but if you ever run out of hate, if you ever, go soft, then I'm gonna take over everything, so keep on killing, Sunshine, and watch your back. The voice grew fainter and gradually faded away, faded into somewhere deep inside Kaine herself. Kaine waited until she was sure the voice was gone, then waved her new left arm around a few times. Feels perfectly normal, she thought. It feels like mine. Desperately, she began poking and prodding at the new limb, determining to find something wrong with it. She didn't want it to feel normal. That would mean the creature inside her had already won. I am not a shade, I am Kaine. Repeating this mantra in her mind, she slowly began digging through the rubble of her house, being careful to ignore a certain red-stained spot in the corner. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity of heartbreaking work, she finally found what she was looking for. It was the wreath of lunar tears. Though it had been through hell and back, the garland's petals were as bright as ever. Kaine started to place it in her hair, then slowly lowered the wreath and stared at it. I am sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry, but I don't deserve to wear this anymore. I'm possessed, corrupted, a freak, and this time I don't think there's any going back. Holding the flowers in her heart, Kaine fell to the ground and sobbed. As night gradually lightened to dawn and the people of the area arose to their daily lives, she remained in that position as if tears could somehow wash away the horror that now infected her world.
Alive.
Oh,
Stay alive.
God, okay.
Stay alive. Grandma.
I should have probably
you gotta live.
I should have
You
probably
gotta come
put this
back
in
to
the
us.
just chatting category. This is a visual novel.
Oh, hey. Emil, you were the one calling me, weren't you? You still recognize me? Of course. I knew you right away. Thank you, Kaine.
Welcome back, Kaine.
Wow, you grew up. So, how long has it been?
5 years.
I'm gonna pay attention to some of the cutscenes, but
Shit.
We are still no close.
By the way,
Is that...
it's not as...
No.
by the way,
Kaine waking from her long petrified sleep. Neil's unflagging kindness.
we'll be watching the cutscenes again, but like,
Our reunion was a happy one, and we let it wash over us like rain.
that's only because there's some differences apparently.
That is, until Devila and Popola had to go and ruin it all. Are you kidding?
Please try to people.
This is
It's we
no one. You and
people as we'll
What?
never.
We should.
I didn't get much sleep that night. For the first time in my life, I hated Devila. For the first time in my life, I doubted Popola. But those feelings are pointless in the end. They said and did what they did for the sake of the village. To protect it from the horror of the Shades. Really,
Yeah.
how can I blame Devila and Popola? In the end, I'm just as bad. Because I never once stopped to think about Kaine and Emil's situation myself.
Oh my god, my I'm like I need to start going back to the gym. Like I am so out of breath just from all that text. It's like disc 2 of Xenogears. This is new.
I should apologize, but we're good with that.
I got a fire going.
Wait,
Good.
I'm so happy to get to talk to you again, Kaine.
Yeah, me too.
I tried everything I could think of to save you, you know. I polished you with a special cloth. I poured warm water over you.
Wait, you poured water on me?
Yeah, but it didn't really do much except make you all shiny.
Hey, Emil. Thanks for saving me.
I guess you noticed how I look different now.
I'm sorry, Emil. I'm sorry for all of it.
Well, I mean, this new form isn't all bad, you know? At least I can look at you when we talk, right? Hey, so why don't you tell me something about yourself?
I'm not very interesting. Sorry.
Come on, I just want to know you better. Please?
Fine. This all happened when I was a kid, before the whole shade possession thing. My body is different. And when the villagers found out about it, they started treating me like a freak. But one person, my grandmother, accepted me just as I was, no matter how bad things got. She gave me the strength to keep going.
She's really special to you, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, hey! That gives me an idea. Since we cured your petrification, we should start looking for a way to cure your possession in my body. I know we can do it if we all work together. Heck, it'll probably be super easy.
Let me guess. More warm water?
Okay, can we just forget I told you about that?
Nice little scene.
Sleep and don't
I need
that. What might it? I have not.
She got the...
My...
It's on this reading, but the final...
Ah, crap. I did not mean to click that. Well,
Say there.
I guess I'll go ahead and talk about this. This is something we're going to be doing a little later.
Can you not hear me? Why are you standing about like a slack-jawed ninny?
Sorry. Felt like I was dreaming or something.
Sleeping on one's feet is quite the talent indeed.
Who's that?
Come now, there's the door.
Right. Let's go.
Well, I think most people know who that is. I'm not gonna go into detail on that now. But I did not mean to click that. I didn't realize it would just force me in there. More on that later. That'll...
Something wrong?
I feel as if
I know what you mean.
More on that later. That'll probably be a stream on its own. Oh, that's really nice to know between playthroughs. That's nice to know between playthroughs. Your garden actually sticks around, because I did a garden and completely forgot about it when this playthrough started. So let's grab all the seeds. Yeah, so it's actually for a trophy. It's like a lot of gardening. There's kind of a manipulation you can do. But, well, I'm gonna be loosely, it's going to be the last trophy I get for this game, because quite frankly, it's just incredibly time consuming. And speaking of time consumption, that took an entire hour, so why don't we just make sure we do not have to do that again. I wonder what my quest log looks like.
Oh, I pretty much.
I'm headed. Oh, sorry.
You don't let.
So we talked to Devila, let's go talk to Popola now. Alright. Bye, Popola.
Oh, look. Yeah, you're just...
That's...
but...
So, yeah, I the fit batch.
Thank... I'm... Alright.
And...
Alright. I think I can squeeze out the return trip to the shrine. Yeah, I had a loose idea of what happened in this playthrough. I didn't...
Path of...
How excellent to know the canal is finished. Hopefully this puts our days of running all over behind us.
The faster we can move, the faster we can save Yona. Let's use it as often as we need. Hey, shh.
A bear?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Annie. I wonder what's going to happen with the junk keep since we already have that weapon. We should still have that weapon.
Let
Yeah, Iron Will. I wonder what's going to happen with that. When we get to that point. It looks like we have more diary entries now. What's this? Oh, new cutscene. Yeah, so some extra. Hey, I just realized we just saw Shades talking. That's different, to say the least. I hope some cutscenes like that are still safe to skip, because I don't want, well, I don't want this to be like a 50-part series, since we've already finished the first ending. So yeah, we're gonna... Also, I'm gonna save outside of the shrine door, obviously, and I'm gonna try to go for the trophy. You know, the one, the beat Gretel in like X amount of time trophy. It's kind of like Route B in Automata, where we kind of see Shades talking now, whereas in Route B we could, as 9S, at any point after, we could understand the text that the robot machine stuff was written in.
Get to bathe in blood.
Don't talk to me.
I want to kill so bad I can barely stand it.
Okay, I gotta do this again. Cool. Why did we need
This
to
is
push
all
all
too
those
easy.
to open a door outwards? I'm not really worried about the shades too much. We're gonna do most of our grinding somewhere else. Somewhere else. like our super duper strong end game grinding. I mean, we're level 30, like also this game's not exactly like hard. Let me guess, the blocks have to be moved. Yep. I wonder if I can hit this. Nope. I was just curious if you can hit through walls in this game. Looks like you cannot.
What's with these guys?
Certainly not your garden variety shades.
Their bodies aren't fully functional.
Say, I've heard of this. A cursed area where incomplete shades gather.
Should be able to just do this. Yep. Get that out of the way. Now we can open the door. Oh. Dark Poland. Oh, are those shades on a different floor? Excellent. Oh, more cutscenes. All because you went Gestalt before the change was complete. What does that mean? That's me.
Kaine, Emile, look, from now on, I'm going to sleep outside with you.
Why?
I can't accept that you aren't allowed in the village. It's stupid.
So you're staging a protest? Fun!
Don't waste your time.
But it just feels wrong.
And let's
That's
do
really
a little
nice of
skip
you, but
here.
you still don't have to stay out here with us.
Nice.
Emile,
Save a little bit of.
You've got a super important
Shredding.
mission. You can't sleep out in the rain. What if you catch a cold? Besides, I love camping with Kaine. Sometimes we sit around the fire and tell stories, or roast.
Neil, that's enough.
We seem to be surrounded by a mob of helpless puppies.
Just kick them aside.
Save here just in case I mess this up.
What's going on? There's dozens of them!
These are creatures of the darkness. Lure them to the light. Passage to the end, I see.
Aim for that statue. It's the leader.
Oh, you're funny. I'm gonna start crying here.
Foolish creatures. You cannot hope to best me.
These little bastards just keep coming.
These creatures cannot abide the sun. Lure them into the light.
Skip.
This is one stubborn son of a bitch.
Damn it!
Hey there, sunshine. You ain't feeling bad.
It's cool. I think we got it.
Ain't no turning back now.
Heine!
I think we got it.
It's Kaine's shade!
With no other choice, we must strike it down.
Kaine! Come back!
Now, pin her down.
Kaine, please!
Cool.
Oh dear.
Oh, no.
Kaine!
I see what you're doing, game.
Kaine!
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Kaine!
I can't be.
We're always going to be together, Kaine. If you transform again, we'll just stop it again. As many times as it takes. I don't care how tough it is. We're gonna get you back. I like sleeping outside because I'm with you, Kaine. I'm able to ignore my appearance. I'm weak, and I'm sad, and I'm lonely. But you make me strong. You're my friend.
All right. Stop crying. And I'm all right.
Cool. So we got both trophies. The I think it's like stop Kaine in a minute, and then stop Gretel in 3, something like that.
Over there.
Cool.
And what?
It's me.
How remarkably useful.
Cool. I figured we'd have enough time to do the shrine. I had to do a off screen. I had to do a huge
It's a
revisit to the
cipher of
shrine
some
where
Can you
I think I had to
determine its
knock out like
meaning?
3 or 4 subquests.
I think this is the key to unlocking the Here, I did give there the
We know this already.
It's
Yeah,
but
because
oh and the vil oh
We'll do the forest
Popola
first
said
this
we might
time,
be able to
just to
You
get
will
out of the
forgive
way.
me.
Yeah, me too, Grimoire Vice. Me too. I could go the rest of my life without all the scrolling text, but, well, that's about all the time I have tonight, so, as per usual, if you like NieR Replicant, if you like Can't Sprint JRPG, be sure to give me a follow. Other than that, though, have a good night.